Well, good afternoon, everyone. Meteorologist Chris Holtzman here, live from the First Alert Desk. We are tracking Tropical Storm Debby, bringing very heavy rain to our area. This is just the beginning of the activity. Let me show you a live look over downtown Charleston. Look at that. I mean, we are tracking very low visibility with heavy rain. So when we do see rain, it is torrential, and we are looking at many spots picking up over an inch of rain already. And when we don't see rain, there's likely not much happening in terms of wind. But in these bands, we're tracking those gusty winds and significant rainfall. Let me show you where Debby is right now. The actual center of the system is still over Florida, but this is such a large system that we are getting impacts already. You can see the center of the system, flash flood emergencies for portions of Florida near I-10 and 75, and that's right around the eye wall. But locally here in the Lowcountry, we're starting to see some of those what we call outer bands move into the area, and you can see pockets of moderate to heavy rain. This will continue on and off as we head through the rest of the day and persist for several days over our area. Let me show you what to expect right now. We do have a tornado watch until 4 o'clock. That includes Beaufort County, also Jasper County. No other Lowcountry counties are in this right now, but we'll see if that is extended as we have been tracking a little bit of rotation offshore, but thankfully that stayed offshore, at least at the current moment. Also looking at the storm surge, we do have a storm surge warning in effect for the coast with 2 to 4 feet of water above the projected tide. So that's certainly, if you're prone to storm surge flooding, that could lead to some issues. But on top of that, we are looking at the potential for tropical storm force wind, and that is sustained between 35 to 45 miles per hour. That's the forecast right now. And some of those bands that move on shore, that's when we'll likely see those tropical storm force winds. Flood watch in effect for our area. That's in effect now through Friday morning, and that is for the potential for widespread severe flash flooding. And this could be once again a historical storm with the amount of rain that we see. We could see half a year's worth of rain in just a couple of days for some of us. We're already adding to some of these totals right now. A live look at radar scanning. It is active this afternoon. We are looking at yellows, oranges, and reds indicating moderate to heavy rain with bands associated with Tropical Storm Debby. We'll zoom in here, show you what we're looking at, including those of us in Somerville, Monk's Corner, Goose Creek, Allendale, North Charleston, very heavy rain into Georgetown County, and then over many of our islands here, including James Island, Seabrook, Guatemala. We are tracking moderate to heavy rain over downtown Charleston, where numerous roads are already closed and the system has just begun. So this will only continue to increase in terms of our threat for flooding as we head over the next couple of days, right over Sullivan's Island as well, Mount Pleasant, Isle of Palm. So we'll zoom out. Bands of heavy rain continue to move on shore, but there's a lot of activity left to go today. You can see that spiraling from the center, and that activity will be moving in as we continue through the rest of the afternoon and evening, and live radar shows plenty of activity overhead. Now this system, so you might think, well, it's just a tropical storm, not much of an issue. The issue is that, disregard the name tropical storm, this system will practically stall right over our area. Right now it's already slowed down significantly. It's only moving at 7 miles per hour, and even that is quite fast, because as it gets into the Lowcountry, this will practically remain nearly stationary just off our coast for several days. So as of the 2 o'clock advisory from the National Hurricane Center, as aircraft continue to fly into this system, winds sampled at around 65 miles per hour, pressure around 990 millibars, and it is moving northeasterly at around 7 miles per hour. And watch the latest track. This was issued at 11 o'clock, but you can clearly see how slow this system is. Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, Friday morning, system is practically over us. And I do want to show you, with that over us, the projected rainfalls, and we could be measuring rain in terms of feet, with at least the potential for 10 to 20 inches of rain for most of us, with locally higher totals above 2 feet. That's possible, especially where these bands set up and we get hours and hours of very heavy rain. And then west of 95 is where amounts drop just a little bit. But let me show you, as we look at future tracker for the rest of the afternoon and evening, waves of heavy rain moving on shore, and that continues into Tuesday morning. Significant rainfall likely Tuesday morning. So by the time you're getting up, we're looking at bands of moisture that continues throughout the day on Tuesday. And then more of the same happens on Wednesday, as we are tracking even more with that center just off the coast. And we have to watch that closely, because some of our guidance is actually trying to re-strengthen this back into a hurricane prior to making landfall again over whether it be South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina. We still have to look at that and fine-tune those details, but this will likely be over us for several days, including through Wednesday and potentially also on Thursday. You can see that there on Future Tracker with more heavy rain over our area by Thursday morning. So what to expect for our area? We are expecting around 10 to 20 inches of rain with isolated higher amounts. Up to 30 inches can't be ruled out. Wind, we'll likely see these wind gusts likely when the eye wall is near us or when we get into these bands of moisture where you see some of those gusty winds going down to the surface. Gusts up to 40 to even 50 miles per hour are possible, but again, highly dependent on the center of the system and also the track. And then tornadoes, we have that isolated threat later today, also into Tuesday afternoon. And in terms of storm surge, again, we are looking at the potential for 2 to 4 feet. That's above where the tide is. So you add that additional water above the tide, and that's where we get into issues with storm surge. So we're going to continue to keep you updated. Of course, I'll have the latest information coming up at 3. And the rest of our meteorologists, meteorologist Bill Walsh, Stephanie Sine, also Dorian Miner, Joey Sovine will be on top of this, continuing to provide updates. And if you have not already, download that Live 5 weather app. You can track any of the rain on the radar and get the latest alerts. You want to make sure you have a way of getting alerts, especially with the potential for that tornado threat and also threat for flooding. So I'll leave you with the final look right now on what to expect with Debby as we continue over the next few days.